Are you considering calling Northeast Tennessee your next home and you're planning to escape the hustle and bustle of the city, but you still need all those everyday amenities like shopping, restaurants, and medical care nearby? Well, today Shad and I are going to point out several areas and towns where you can live right here in Northeast Tennessee and have the perfect blend of rural living and everything you need just minutes from your home. So let's get started. Well, Shad, so often we meet with buyers from out of state, and there's a very common question or request that comes up. I think you can guess what it is.
Well, I mean, most of the time they're saying, hey, we'd like to come there. We don't really want or need to live in the city. We'd like to be out with a little more elbow room. And sometimes that can be, a multitude of towns around here, or it can be to the outskirts of some of the larger tri-cities.
Yeah, and one request that we hear a lot is, I want to live somewhere, I want to have space, but I want to be about 15 to 20 minutes, to medical care or the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Now we have some of the other folks that are a little more brave and they're like, I want to go out 30 or 40 minutes. I do find a lot of those end up in that radius that I just mentioned, 15 to 20 minutes. So today, let's talk about where people can live here in Northeast Tennessee and kind of have things 15, 20 minutes from them. Hey, we might cross the line a little bit, but we'll try to stay within that 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, the good news is we have a lot of options.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And one of them, which may not be so obvious to a lot of people, is the Tri-Cities, Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol. And Johnson City with a population of 75,000, Kingsport with a population of 58,000, and Bristol with a population just under 30,000 over on the Tennessee side. Some people might think, oh, well, those are the bigger towns in our area, and I don't want to live in town, but there's beautiful rural areas. And we've had some clients and buyers that have moved into rural areas and love it. And so what do you think about what people can find in those towns as far as rural living?
Well, I mean, they can just find the convenience of it all. I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's like we live in Jonesborough, which is just outside of Johnson City, but we're 15 minutes or so to the hospital and 10, 15, 20 minutes to almost everything in Johnson City that has to offer. So it's just really convenient to get anywhere. We talk about, the difference between, or the mileage between, Johnson City and Bristol and Kingsport and some of these other towns. What we really need to try to go back and put in some context about the population of our area. So out of like 7 counties, we have a little over 500,000 people, and we already talked about the population of the major tri-cities, but it's so spread out that it doesn't feel like people are on top of each other. So it's really about convenience and the shopping and the hospitals and whatnot that we've talked about a million times.
Yeah, and for people that might be looking at Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol, they don't have to live in the city, although they offer hospitals and shopping and entertainment, just anything you need. You're going to find it in Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol. Mm-hmm. But for instance, we had some buyers that bought a beautiful brick ranch that they renovated. It was on some acreage. It had a barn and beautiful mountain views. And that was there in Bristol. Now over in Johnson City in Carter County, we had a couple that moved from Alaska, and they bought a home with a big lot, and it has a lot of wildlife, and they're just loving Northeast Tennessee. So for people that are coming to the area, they may want to look at Johnson City, Kingsport, and Bristol. But for those that are like, hey, I got to live in a smaller area, I've worked with people, they're like, I can't live in Johnson City, it's too big, So again, with a 75,000 population, that's not a real big town, but I get it. So another option would be Gray.
Yeah, Gray is the northern edge of Johnson City. It kind of belts together. They share a similar zip code. I had an older car that was 10, 12 years old that even if I typed in a Gray address, it would pop up as Johnson City. So it's really just a northern suburb of Johnson City, but it's the word to use for Gray is convenience. It's so convenient in between Johnson City and Kingsport because of the interstate. I-26 is right there to hop on to get anywhere you need to get. But other than that, it's still a rural area at some level. I mean, we've seen different population bases on the internet, anywhere from about 1,500 to 3,000 people. It is growing with the amount of rural subdivisions, and mostly subdivision living in the gray area, unless you get in some older homes that might be on a half acre or something like that. But the word for gray is convenience.
Yeah, you can hop to pretty much, Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol easily, even down to Jonesborough. And Shad mentioned like 75, or we call Bobby Hicks Highway. That cuts through Gray, so you can run over to the grocery store over there on Bobby Hicks Highway. There's some fast food, sit-down restaurants, our favorite ice cream shop. I think there's even a few medical offices over there. So you've got that convenience, but again, depending on where you live in Gray, you could hop over to Johnson City, or you could hop over to Kingsport. So that's a good option, also in a very popular area.
And they are the closest to the Tri-Cities Airport.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So
Another area is Piney Flats.
yeah. Which is somewhat similar to Gray in a situation of it's not on the north side of Johnson City, but it's on the northeast side of Johnson City going towards Bristol. And what it shares in common with Johnson City, the border, is Boone Lake. And so that's a big draw for people that live here that want to be on water. You will find yourself normally being in a Johnson City or Piney Flats address if you're near Johnson City because of Boone Lake. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's places in Piney Flats that you do have, a few restaurants and fast food and things like that. But there are also many areas in Piney Flats where in 10, 15 minutes, you're driving right into a busy area in Johnson City with the shopping mall, all your, medical care like MedTech Corridor. So that's another area. And like Shad said, the lake is a big draw.
Yeah,
too. Another area that is east of Johnson City, Johnson City's neighbor, is Elizabethton, and that town is a beautiful historic town, one of several historic towns we have in the area. So, we've worked with a lot of buyers that have moved in the downtown area and they like walking into downtown. But again, we've worked with a lot of buyers that have moved out in rural areas. And Elizabethton has a hospital. Depending where you live in Elizabethton, you might be 15 minutes from Johnson City.
Right, and Elizabethton is big enough, like Greeneville's on this list as well. I already gave that away, I guess. But Elizabethton, and we've talked about this before, is about 16,000 people. So it's big enough to have your Walmarts and your Lowe's and a good-sized hospital and things of that nature. But one of the things that we don't talk about enough, I think, with Elizabethton is once you get outside the city limits, it really becomes beautiful and starts backing up to the mountains. In fact, Roan Mountain is the tallest mountain in northeast Tennessee, and it's in the same county as Elizabethton. So there's a lot of outdoor activities to do outside of Elizabethton as well.
Yeah, a lot of fishing, hiking, and that kind of thing. And, I know when we show homes, when you get out of the city area, you have all these rolling hills and the mountains are starting, to approach you, or kind of big hills behind people's homes. So that's a very beautiful area, which kind of leads us then down further south. Another beautiful historic town, Erwin, and that's a real small town, and I think really our true mountain town in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Surrounded by the Cherokee National Forest, and you'll actually see in the downtown area signs, hikers welcome. I mean, that is so cool. Another outdoor lover's paradise. But you could find homes there, maybe a neat cabin, a country neighborhood, some home with some acreage. And it is a smaller area, though. So
it is. The county itself, Unicoi County, Erwin, it's not the biggest population base in our area. But that's, because of and we talked about this, the terrain, and you really have an interstate going through the county there with mountains on both sides, and the little town of Erwin is there, close to the Appalachian Trail, stuff of that nature. But not a lot of room for growth, but such a cute community for sure.
Yeah, definitely. If you're into beauty and outdoor activities or just plain quiet life, Erwin's a fantastic choice.
Erwin's one of my favorite small towns.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
But another favorite small town of ours is Jonesborough, because we call Jonesborough home. And Jonesborough is the oldest town in Tennessee. It's our little hallmark town. The great thing about Jonesborough is its proximity to Johnson City. For a lot of people, you could just hop over to Johnson City to do a lot of your business. But Jonesborough, down by the historic area, has grocery stores and restaurants, drugstore, pretty much anything you need. For us, some days we just do everything in our daily life here in Jonesborough. As you get out of the city area, it quickly becomes rural.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing about Jonesborough is, we haven't really talked about zip codes and stuff like that, but the Jonesborough zip code really extends quite significantly to the north and to the south into the county. So you can literally still be in a Jonesborough address or in the zip code and have a 20-minute or so commute into Jonesborough, the town of Jonesborough. But very rural, both going north and south, and it's just we can't talk enough about it. I say this a lot to people, and I imagine if some of our previous clients are listening to this video now, I say it all the time. If you don't like Jonesborough, we just can't be friends.
But the good news is when people visit and go to different towns, people just have their favorites. There may be 2 or 3. They may love all of them. They may say, I love this town and not this one so much. But that's a great thing. We have so many small towns and areas to choose from. And like you were mentioning about Jonesborough, that long zip code, that travels north and south, you could live in Jonesborough and be close to Gray or Kingsport. There are parts of Jonesborough where it might make sense to go to Colonial Heights in Kingsport to do your grocery shopping and all that kind of stuff. But Jonesborough, again, very beautiful, beautiful views, a lot of rolling hills. Can't say enough about Jonesborough. And then Jonesborough's neighbor is the Cowboy Corridor. And that's an area we call the Cowboy Corridor. I'm gonna say we made the name up because if I don't clarify that, I can hear the keyboards ticking out there, especially from the locals. But tell a little bit about what the Cowboy Corridor is.
Well, we've talked about this a million times on the other videos as well. I just can't get enough of when we drive out into that area, how much we just love it. The rolling hills, the green pastures, the cows and cattle grazing in the farm fields, and the mountain views, and it's just so relaxing and stuff. In fact, we just went there just a few days ago. Mm-hmm. We went and tried a new place. In fact, I wrote it down on here. We like trying these new places from time to time, and this one was called Little Lou's Creamery at Horse Creek Farms Dairy.
Talk about the views. I mean, the views. You have your ice cream cone and you have these gorgeous views and this farm. Just an example of one place, fantastic place in this area. And the Cowboy Corridor, you're not going to find a strip mall. You're not going to find shopping centers or anything like that. You might find the occasional dollar store, but you can find the mom and pop. Yeah, there's a restaurant there called Pop's Place. Mm. We've got Troyer's Country Market and Annie Ruth's Donuts. If you haven't had those, I mean, one of our buyers, they sent me a message that said, Annie Ruth's, they're the bomb. They're the bomb. But the Cowboy Corridor, it consists of Telford, Limestone, Chuckey, and Afton. And those are basically 4 unincorporated areas. Someone corrected me one time because we call them towns. But they're beautiful areas with really some of the most beautiful sweeping mountain views in the area. The quieter areas, you're going to find, farmland, you're going to find country neighborhoods, just kind of a mix of everything. So the Cowboy Corridor might be a place that you want to take a look at if you're thinking about a rural area.
Yeah, and even some of the other areas, there are things that you can see when you're out in that area that we haven't really talked about. You know, the Farmer's Daughter, which is a family style meal type of a place. Fender's Farm, they do a lot of stuff, especially like in the fall for corn mazes and things and activities for kids. Funny Farm is there. There's all kinds of farms that in our area too that have just quick and simple farm tours for an insignificant amount of money. You can go hang out with some goats and feed some goats and
goat yoga,
goat yoga and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things to see and do in that area, even though you're just out in the middle of nowhere. And again, it's just the beauty and the drive. I mean, I can't say enough about how we just love that area for sure.
And the neighbor of the Cowboy Corridor is Greeneville, and Greeneville is the second oldest town in Tennessee. It has much of the original buildings in the downtown area. They did some beautiful renovations down there recently. But that town has a hospital, has big grocery stores, getting more and more restaurants all the time. It has the Niswonger Performing Arts Center, Pioneer Ballpark. It just really offers a lot, but it also has very beautiful rural areas. And again, those beautiful sweeping views. I called Greeneville home the first year that I lived here, and it's about a 30-minute drive to Johnson City. So if you're looking for a home in the country, Greeneville is a great place to
consider. It's a little farther away from Johnson City than some of these other towns we've talked about today, but especially like if you're going to be in the Cowboy Corridor or just outside of Greeneville in the rural areas, sometimes like if you're in the middle in the Cowboy Corridor in between Greeneville and Johnson City, you have choice to go 10, 15 minutes one way or the other to your local Walmart or Lowe's or what we talked about, different shopping and stuff like that. So even though the town of Greeneville is a little farther away from Johnson City, you still have so much close by. We didn't even talk about, again, some of the other farms and stuff. I came across a new one when I looked up Little Lou's Dairy. It's called Gnome Hollow at Dixon Hill Farms. They offer farm tours and stuff there too.
Wow.
So it's just another place to check out when you're in the area.
Yep. So Greeneville, definitely another very beautiful area. And thing I'd like to add about all of these areas, a great thing is our rural areas, most of them have public water. That's pretty common here. So that's a nice feature. And a lot of people ask, do you have FedEx? Do you have good cell service? Am I going to have good internet? Okay, we're not living with the dinosaurs. We've got it all here, and it's really advanced over the years too. So these are 8 great areas that you could consider. And, we always suggest coming and traveling around and driving through all of them to get to know the area and find the area that speaks to you. So if you're interested in Northeast Tennessee and you want to learn more about the area, give us a call, text, or email. A member of our team would be happy to help you. I'm Stephanie, and this is Shad. And we're the Freck Group with Greater Impact Realty, and we specialize in working with people like you that are moving from across the country to Northeast Tennessee. And like we always say, it's never too soon to start planning your move, and we hope to see you here real soon.